10 seconds to go live. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. My name is Councilwoman Wildelise Bermudez, and I am joined by Councilman John Gale, along with members of the community. And we hereby convene this public hearing to order. Before we start, I want to make sure that we review the hearing rules so that everybody has them. So each person wishing to address the council or committee shall do so upon recognition by the presiding officer. Give his or her name. Make sure you give us your address. And if he or she represents a group, in addition, state for the record the name and address of the group or organization that you belong to. Every speaker is going to have a limited time for their remarks, up to 5 minutes in total. Through myself, we'll make sure that we stay on in terms of the timing of those limitations. All remarks shall be limited. And we want to make sure that no member of the Common Council addresses the council as a member of the public. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or who becomes boisterous while addressing the council should be forthwith barred from the presiding officer from further audience at said meeting unless permission to remain is granted by council members. During the public hearing, there shall be no debate by the council, although questions may be asked by council persons making such presentations. And those are the rules. And so for tonight, we have three, and we have also been joined by Councilman Nick Lebron. Thank you for joining us this evening. So tonight we have three ordinances for this public hearing. We're going to start with the first one. The first item on our agenda is ordinance amending Chapter 6, Section 2-350, the pay plan on the municipal code. We'll start with if anyone's here speaking in favor of this item. Is anyone speaking in favor of the item? I have to say it 3 times. Anyone speaking in favor of the item? If anyone's speaking against the item? Is there anyone here speaking against the item? Is there anyone here speaking against the item? Okay. Being that there's no one speaking in favor or against, we are now moving to our second item on the agenda for tonight. Item number 2 on the agenda is the resolution requesting to approve the superimposed name of Dr. Craig J. Yeni Way on Vernon Street at the intersection of Vernon and Summit to be displayed henceforth as Dr. Craig J. Yeni Way. Is anyone here speaking in favor of this item? All right, and I do have a list that was sent over to me, and I did see folks raise their hand also at the same time. Why don't we start with Lori? I believe you logged in first, so we'll start with Lori Thompson. You're on mute.
Yep. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Lori Bryant Thompson, and I live at 155 Windermere Avenue, Unit 205 in Ellington, Connecticut. I recently retired from being a Hartford school teacher for over 32 years. I had the pleasure of having Craig in my class, my kindergarten class, and knew right then and there that he would become this amazing and successful person. And he did. And I got to watch him continue to grow through school, high school, college, and was a part of his life in up until his unfortunate passing. I know that Craig was very, very involved in in things in this community. And I know that he touched so many and he made an important impact on so many lives, and that it would be such a great, it would be a wonderful thing to have his name have the street named after him, because it would continue on his legacy. So he made such an impact for the students that wanted to go into the STEM field. And this has been something, another way of how they can look up to him and continue on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. We appreciate your remarks. I do see here we have Hyacinth Yanin and as well as Melissa Yanin. If anyone's speaking in favor, please do so at this time.
Hi, good evening. I'm Hyacinth Yeni, mother of Craig Joseph Yeni. First, I want to thank Marilyn and Shaman Craig for putting such a wonderful resolution together. It says a lot, knowing that they knew him from he was small, to see all the things that he was involved with. And so I'm just glad to see that it's reached this far. And as I said, I want to make sure that he isn't forgotten and he's left a legacy in this world. And I just want to make sure it lives on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your remarks. We also have Speaker Melissa Yanin. If anyone's speaking in favor, please do so now.
Yes, hi, I'm Melissa Yeni St. Just, speaking in favor. I have to share my address. Yes, 35 Torwood Street, Hartford, Connecticut. So yes, I'm speaking in favor of this. Craig was my brother, but not only my brother and a role model to me, but a role model to a lot of other youth in the city of Hartford. And last week at the committee meeting, I specifically shared a quote about how teachers touch eternity. And you never really know how far their reach is. That same thing is going to happen to Mrs. Thompson. But in terms of Craig, people will, by having his name on the street, people will know who he is, and his reach will really get to touch. He is going to touch eternity with things that he's done that people don't even realize. So for example, Compass Youth Collaborative. Not many people know that Craig was one of the founders of South End Night Riders Youth Center. And that is touching the lives of so many people. Sports Medical Science Academy, which is a flourishing magnet school in our community. He was one of the first in the graduating class who really impacted that school in itself, and the ability for students at that school to have outside internships. So really and truly, when they say teachers touch eternity, he will touch eternity. And just by having this street named after him, or the sign there, will allow people in the community to really continue to know who he is. Thank you.
Thank you so much for both of your statements. So I also see Mr. Boucher on the call. He was someone who signed up. So if anyone's here speaking in favor, I believe Mr. Boucher, you have the floor.
Thank you, Councilman Bermudez, and also Councilman Gale, Councilman LeBron. And, I clearly want to also, support, it's an honor to support resolution number 2, honoring the name of Dr. Craig Joseph Yeni, PhD Way on Vernon Street. And, I really have had the pleasure and honor of knowing Craig since, his, young days, his youthful days, working on a number of issues. I remember his work that he did, as was mentioned, in terms of youth leadership, supporting a number of issues. And, I know people speak, quite well of the work he did with the South End Night Riders that has now become the Compass Youth Collaborative. And, I think a lot of his leadership was done in just a very confident, responsible, mature way, in terms of the way he had a vision for how he saw what could happen to support positive youth development and recreation in the community. And when there were times when lots of folks said, these kinds of things take a long time to make happen, he was willing to give that long time and long-term passion to the work. I remember going with him with a youth leadership group to Washington, D.C., National People's Action, where he led groups around the country to support the kind of community revitalization that was important to Hartford and around the country. And then just, many, many times he was always there to support this kind of effort. So I think when we talk about naming and thinking about what's important in terms of inspiration to the community, the naming of this Vernon Street sort of superimposing his name there, I think will be an inspiration for many of us. It'll be inspiring to me. It'll inspire others. It'll inspire today's generations and for generations to come. I think when we hear about the many accomplishments that Craig led over the years, it reminds us of what's important in our community that we must lift up and give rise to. And as Melissa said, this will last for eternity because that's Craig's spirit and the gift that he gave to many of us who continue to be inspired today. And this will inspire, again, today's generation and many generations to come. So I support also this resolution. And thanks to the creators and sponsors of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boucher. We did have Timothy Curran who signed up and has been on Zoom for some time. So I believe Mr. Curran, you have the floor and we're on anyone speaking in favor.
Thank you. I'm Tim Curran. I reside at 48 Clearfield Road in Wethersfield, Connecticut, and I am a professor of chemistry and the department chair at Trinity College. But more importantly, I was one of Craig's teachers during the time when he was at Trinity College. He took organic chemistry with me, and then he went on to also do research in my laboratory. And undergraduates doing research in chemistry is a daunting task, and Craig took on this challenge, and he did great with it because he's one of the few students that as an undergraduate was able to do enough work that he is a co-author on a scientific paper with me that was published in a peer-reviewed journal. So, when I think about his untimely passing, I think of that often when I'm in my laboratory. I remember the times that we spent there, and especially the laughs that we shared because he was a Yankee fan and I'm a Red Sox fan, and we had a good-natured relationship about that. Besides his talents, in the lab and in the classroom, the other thing that struck me about Craig during his time at Trinity was the way he was able to bring other students together. So we have a chemistry club, the Trinity Chemical Society, and they had a number of outreach programs to local students. And Craig was one of the leaders in that group. And Craig was also another student who helped other students when he was at Trinity. And, a number of speakers have already mentioned about what a great role model he was for youth in Hartford, but Craig was really at Trinity a role model for all the other Trinity students because he did everything the right way. He wanted to help others. He was eager to learn, and he inspired other students. I know that the students that were at Trinity when he was a student were heartbroken to learn of his untimely passing. And they still talk about it to this day when they're in touch with me. So I really am strongly in favor of this, and so are my other colleagues in the chemistry department, that we hold Craig in the highest regard, and we have heavy hearts that he's no longer with us. And we would definitely love to see this resolution passed. So I'm 2 thumbs up for this. Thank you very much for the time to speak with you.
Thank you, Mr. Curran. We have next, this is Jacqueline Santiago. And again, we're in favor of this resolution, item number 2.
Yes, thank you, Rigalis and others. I am here to speak on behalf of the resolution for Craig Yeni, PhD Way. Many have mentioned it. Jim Boucher mentioned the fact that he was active in the community as a community organizer at a very young age. Because of him, Southern Night Riders was born and has evolved. 25 years later, there is still an agency in the city of Hartford working with youth. And every year we have started since his passing a Craig Yeni STEM Day. The reason for that is because his story is so inspirational. There are very few youth or there aren't many youth in Hartford that aspire to be chemists, or doctors. But seeing Craig Yeni as a role model shows youth that this is possible. This is possible for them as well. No matter where you come from, this is possible. And so I love the fact that he is an inspiration. He was an inspiration to me, even as a youth when he was here. I was one of the ones on the trip to Washington, D.C. We went to NPA together. We were in Michigan and Chicago, and he was an advocate for youth, really changing and shaping the lives of youth, but also the Hartford residents as a whole. And we are grateful to him. We know that he will be an inspiration, and seeing that street named after him is a way to remind us all of what's possible and leave his legacy behind. So I am 100% in favor, and hope that you will vote for, that everyone will vote in favor as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for that testimony. I believe I saw Ms. Ginetta on. Is she still on? I saw her pop in and out. Well, so we are still on. There's a feedback loop. So we're still on item number 2. If anyone's here speaking in favor of item number 2, you have the ability to do so now. Again, if we have anyone else here in favor of item number 2, if there's anyone against item number 2, you have the ability to do so now. If there's anyone against item number 2, if anyone's against, again, I'll say the in favor. If anyone else is here in favor of item number 2, and I believe I just saw Elizabeth Ginetta. Oh, okay, maybe not. Okay, so anyone here in favor of, what was that?
Trying to get on.
Can you all hear that?
But she keeps getting kicked off. Her internet is not working.
Oh,
well.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that I gave her enough time. Okay. So there appears to be technical issues on her end then. Okay. All right. So we see Elizabeth Ginetta. You have the... No. Okay. All right. So if there's anyone else here speaking in favor, you may do so now. If not, then we will move to item number 3. Okay. All right, so we're going to move to item number 3. That is the ordinance amending Chapter 28, Article 9 of the Municipal Code of Hartford to align standing building committee for school building projects with state law, Special Act 1-7. If anyone here is speaking in favor of that item number 3, please do so now. If anyone is speaking in favor of item number 3, you may do so now. I'll say it one more time. If anyone here is speaking in favor of item number 3, you may do so now. If anyone here is speaking against item number 3, you can do so now. Is anyone here speaking against item number 3? Again, if there's anyone here speaking against item number 3. All right, seeing that we don't have any other items on our agenda.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilman Gale.
I just want to note, and maybe the chair was about to say this, for the benefit of, there was someone who was trying to join and was having some technical difficulties. Certainly anybody who would like to comment to council is welcome to put their comments into email form and send them to us. All of our emails are available on the city's website, and I know we'd all be happy to hear input from anyone. So if you've been unable to join tonight. All is not lost. You still have multiple ways of getting in touch with us, hopefully, and we're happy to receive that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know it's not customary, but I did want to note for item number 2, you know, I attended Trinity at the same time that Dr. Yanin attended. And I recall he was always had full of energy, very exuberant, always had a smile on his face, always worked really hard, and was willing to talk to everyone. So just wanted to note that in terms of how hardworking he was and how sociable he was and how he always cared about so many people. Just on a personal note. So we had moved to item number 3, but thank you, Mr. Councilman Gale, for letting the public and the community know that if they want to send us over additional emails or anything else or letters of support, certainly we will be receiving those as well. And that's always important to hear back from the community. So seeing as I believe we don't have any new speakers that have popped in on the screen, seeing as there are no more items on this public hearing, we hereby call this meeting to conclude, to end. So we thank you for your time being here tonight and participating. And this hereby concludes tonight's public hearing items 1 through 3. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night.